Alright guys, so as you can possibly see, the van in front of me is pulling some treasure that I've got. My friend Mad Mike rang me up and asked me if I wanted it. It is a little microcar with a weird engine I've never heard of in it. It's a Motobecane 99Z engine, which is a bit odd because it's supercharged, if you can imagine such a thing. It's a 50cc car called the Super Comtesse. It's from France. It's made by a company called Acoma in 1978. And it's part of, and I might be pronouncing this wrong, the Sans Permis movement of vehicles, which is, at the time, if it had a 50cc engine and was able to move it using pedals, then you didn't need a license to drive it. You could drive it at 14 years old, you could drive it if you were too old to drive a normal car, or you could drive it if you'd lost your license from drink driving. Another advantage is that because it's classed as a moped, it's not required to be registered, it didn't need a number plate, and yeah, it basically circumvented all the car laws and all the larger motorcycle laws. Now, my wife has made some comments about me looking like a pillock riding my moped, so I thought what could be better to allay her fears than getting a car? And look how much of a twat I don't look in it. Isn't that amazing? So here it is on the trailer, ready to go. And yeah, basically we got it on the trailer without ramps by picking it up, one either side, picking up the front and rear wheels, one hand each, and just lifted it on. So we're going to have a quick look around the inside of the Super Comtesse. I've installed a light inside it because lighting in here isn't amazing for filming, so that's not standard. So in we go. So as you can see, it's actually fairly spacious, although the legroom against the steering wheel isn't amazing. There is a luggage compartment behind the driver's seat as well. This particular one has, unfortunately, got a bit of fiberglass damage that I'm going to have to deal with. The seat lifts up, but you need this door open to get it all the way up, because it interferes with that window opener there. There we are, so the seat is up, and this is the engine compartment here. Sans engine, there's part of it, the rest of it's on the floor over there. So the engine would sit here. It's got the standard Mobile mounting blocks there, and the carb top's still there, which is nice. I was glad to see it's not got that yellow Novi coil attached, because those tend to die, but I mean that doesn't look tremendous, does it? As far as I'm aware, it would have a battery mounted somewhere around here as well. I'm not sure if it's electric start or not. I suspect this dynamo here also works as a starter motor, but I haven't got that far yet. Let's see if we've got anything. What it says on there. I'll turn you around. I am unsure if this is 6 or 12 volts. I suspect probably 6, but until I start looking at bulbs and things, I don't know, because I don't think it says on the dynamo. Oh wait, 12 volts. 12 volt dynamo. Beautiful. Let's put the engine flap down. Ugh. Right. So here, this seat's in really good condition. Makes me think it may have been recovered or something. In fact, there's even still a bit of cellophane on the back of there. Presumably left over from 1978 when it was built. Okay, so controls that I can see. Let me put the flash on, I'll come back to you. Okay, so standard handbrake. This is, well, not gear selector, it's forward, neutral and reverse is selected with this. Still not totally sure how that works, but anyway, that's there. This I don't think does indicators, I think it's literally just full beam and dip beam. Unsure. Indicators, although 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, maybe that's not indicators then. Presumably a charging light. Don't know about that light or what that was. Maybe that was a switch actually looking at it. It looks like there might be a bulb in the bottom of there. hard to tell. Speedo, done 2843 kilometers. Unknown hole. Here is the windscreen wiper switch directly on the back of the motor. That looks like a radio mount, and there's what looks like holes for cables, and then up here there's an aerial hole, so I suspect it may have had a radio in at some point. Whether you could hear it or not, I don't know. Underneath you can see the fuel tank. Can you see that? There, fuel tank, and the brake reservoir is there. Got a funky little mirror that you can't adjust so that it points out the back window. You can only see that out of it because I don't think it twists on that pivot. I think it's directly screwed on, so that's interesting. What else is there to tell you about this? So, controls under here. There's your petcock, fuel tap. I wouldn't smoke in here, definitely. You got brake, accelerator, and then these are pedals. So I'm not going to do it because we'll hit the garage wall. Christ. I'm not going to do it because we'll hit the garage wall, but you pedal away on these bad boys. Focus. You know, 1, 2, 1, 2. And that pedals you forwards, which means that is essentially what classes it as a moped in France, or at least did. And the way it works is you've got 2 lengths of chain coming off those onto sprockets with one-way bearings under here, and they're on springs. So you press it down, it pulls the sprocket around a bit, and then the spring releases and it's freewheels backwards and the other way with that one. So it's pedalable. Not much else to show you really, I don't think. There's the door handles. I don't think the doors lock at all, so it's not going to be difficult to steal, and there doesn't look to be evidence of it ever having a key unless that's what was in there. So yeah, I also don't know what this switch does. I suspect it could be ignition. I don't know, it's just a dangly switch. So yeah, there's a lot of questions need to be answered with this. Interestingly, the doors don't lock, but the windows do by the looks of things. So that's odd. This window currently, there we are, slidey windows. But this one's struggling a bit because it's all perished in there. So it's a bit stiff, this one. Cool, let's get out of here. Right, so this is the slightly obscure Mobilette engine, Motobecane engine, sorry, that is in the Super Comtesse that I've got. So it's a bit strange. I'll tell you the principle of how a normal two-stroke works and then how this sort of uses it to its advantage to supercharge it. So what would normally happen on a two-stroke is as the piston rises up the bore, you've then got all the compression stuff happening in the top and the ignition, but underneath, as the piston lifts up, it effectively increases the volume of the crankcase and it sucks air fuel mixture from the carburetor through the reeds, in this case, not all of them have reeds obviously, through the reeds into the crankcase. And then as the piston comes back down again, it reduces the volume of the crankcase, which causes basically all the air to be air and fuel, sorry, to be squished up through the transfer ports and into the top of the piston, ready so that when it comes back up again, that gets compressed and the vacuum caused in this by the piston lifting up sucks more air and fuel into the crankcase. This has got a second piston in here, and that's what makes this special, because it's timed in such a way to boost what's happening already in a two-stroke engine. So as the piston is lifting up, causing a vacuum behind it, sucking air and fuel in, that piston is descending, thus increasing the volume of the crankcase even more, so it can suck more air and fuel in. And then as it's pushing the air and fuel into the top of there as the piston comes back down, that piston is going up, which forces even more air and fuel up. And I haven't got the piston at the moment because it's pickling in some diesel, but I will show you it has a hole in it which lets even more air and fuel in. It's not the normal transfer hole you get on, say, a Tomos piston. It's got a little round hole near the top as well, just for that extra shot. And if you look in the transfers here, I'm not sure if those are oiler holes or if they're extra. Yeah, they are oiler holes, never mind. But yeah, so essentially it's an extra beefy Mobylette engine. Beefier exhaust, the cylinder is bigger, it's more cooling fins basically, it's the same size bore in it. But yeah, that is essentially what gives it extra torque. Now this is a low revving engine. I think they only rev to something like 6,000 or 9,000 RPM at absolute full bore, and you can't make them rev any more than that. But they have better torque than a normal two-stroke, which in a car that's only designed to do 30 miles an hour but weighs a lot more than a moped, the torque is everything. You can apparently swap in an AV12 with a Polini kit or a tuned, you know, later model, maybe an AV10 Mobylette engine, and get more power than this gets. But because this is so weird, and because I'm on a limited budget, and because I've got this, I quite fancy seeing if I can get it working. So that is the plan. The main thing I can see with it at the moment is there's a bit of corrosion around the top of here in the casting, but obviously this is just alloy, so I can sort that out. There's a bit of surface rust inside there, so I may have to remount the little end. It does take roller bearings, but I mean, it turns over okay. In fact, it turns over pretty well, really. There's no play. There's obviously a little bit of side-to-side play, but the up and down play, which is what you really need to look for in an engine like this, there isn't any. So obviously that may change once I remount the little end hole. I'll have to try it with a piston on it. So first job is to put piston rings on, because the old piston rings were stuck. So there we are, guys. Thank you very much for watching this video on my motorised grit bin. I'm sorry I've not done any wrenching on it. I'm gathering parts at the moment, but I was so excited about the car that I couldn't wait any longer to show you it. So it's only a short video just showing you around. On the next one we'll hopefully be making a start on the engine. I'd like to thank Rebel Moby for sending me some literature on the 99Z engine, and also the British Microcar Facebook group. I will share this with you now. I definitely wouldn't recommend you screenshot any of it, because I don't know who owns the copyright. So yeah, just bear that in mind. And I'll see you in the next one. Thank you very much.